Hey guys, welcome to Kids OT Help. My name's Nicole, and I'm a pediatric occupational therapist that specializes in feeding and swallowing. I'm also a lactation consultant, so if you haven't already, consider subscribing to Kids OT Help channel so that way you can learn more helpful tips on how your child can learn to eat independently. So today we're going to be talking about when you should transition your child to solid foods. And more specifically, we're going to be diving into the readiness signs that are associated with when you should be transitioning your child to solid foods. But before we dive into that, I want to let you guys know that down below in the description box, I put together yet another resource for you. This is called Mealtime Success Tips. And this is really, it's such a great resource because inside of it, we're talking about considerations, things that you should consider when you're transitioning your child to solid foods during the mealtime setup. So routines, how do we talk about food, best positioning, best foods to offer. So if that's something that you're interested in, the link is in the description box. And one more thing before we get going, I want to let you know that this is very exciting for me. If you find this information helpful and you want to go deeper and you want to learn the how to safely transition your child to solid foods, I just today released my first full course. It's called Foundations for Feeding. It's a 90-minute virtual course. You can go at your own pace, but I'm going to walk you through exactly how you safely and successfully transition your child to solid foods. So if you want to learn more about that, the link is also in the description box. There's a private community that is associated with this course, so you'll get access to that. And I'm in there regularly to answer your questions and guide you through. So you have unlimited access to a feeding specialist if you join this course. Registration is only open until the end of next week, so I'm sorry if you're catching this on the replay later, but all the information is in the description box. So let's dive into when you should be transitioning your child to solid foods. So let's talk about the readiness signs. The first thing we should know is that your child should be very close to, if not older than, 6 months of age. The research is kind of split on this, but the consideration, well, you'll understand in a moment because most children won't even reach these readiness signs until about 6 months of age. But starting solid substantially before 6 months may be hard on your child's gut. That is still developing, and it may be hard for them to process table foods much before 6 months of age. So that's just something to know. But the readiness sign. So the first readiness sign we're going to chat about is, does your child demonstrate good oral motor coordination? What the heck does good oral motor coordination mean? Well, this is basically, how does our mouth move and work together to either suck from the bottle or breast or chew solid food? So in this case, does your child have good lip closure? And when we're looking at lip closure, we're looking at how they are sealing their mouth around either the nipple on the breast or the nipple on the bottle. Do you notice that there's a lot of spilling coming from the mouth? Or do they seem to get it? They're pretty good. Maybe you see a couple bubbles here and there, but it seems like they're transferring the milk just fine from either the bottle or the breast. Something else we'd want to look for is breathing. Do they seem to manage? What we like to hear is a suck, swallow, breathe coordination. If we hear our child with a lot of labored breathing at the breast or the bottle, so you hear like a huffy quality in their breathing, that may be a sign that something's off, or maybe we need to take a look at how they're positioned, or if there might be something anatomically that's making it difficult for them to transfer milk. So if it seems like they've got it down, they're in a nice rhythm, you hear them swallowing, you hear them breathing, it doesn't sound like they're working too hard, awesome. The next readiness sign is, are they demonstrating eating awareness and interest? So do you see them like trying to get to your food when you're eating a meal in front of them? Do they want to touch it? Do they want to explore it? Are they basically begging you for a piece of whatever it is you're getting down on? This is really important because children learn. Motivation is key. It's how we all learn and develop skills. If we're not motivated by a task or an activity, it's hard for us to then generalize that skill and show the learning long term. So basically, especially for children, that's why play is so important. They're motivated by that. They learn through play because it's fun. And so is eating, so is exploring food. So if our child isn't really interested in food yet, it's going to be hard for us to expect them to do well when we put food in front of their tray and we want them to eat. So, having mealtime together. So even if your child is not ready to eat food yet, pull them up to the table during dinner or breakfast when everyone else is eating, because they're going to be motivated by watching you eat. And they're going to be excited to join you when the time comes. So we want eating awareness and an interest in eating. And the next readiness sign we're going to talk about is fine motor control. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what fine motor skills are, it's basically our ability to use our hands together to accomplish a task. So in this case, what we're specifically after is we want to see that our child is able to bring their hands to their mouth. So they've probably been doing this for months, more likely, sucking on their hands or their fingers as they're teething, or maybe they're picking up toys and they're bringing the toys to their mouth. This is great because they're showing an interest in oral exploration. So they want to know how things taste. What does it feel like in my mouth? But also, more importantly, or equally importantly, is that they're able to pick up, they're going to be able to grasp the food and bring it to their own mouth. Because what we don't want is parents bringing table food to their child's or their baby's mouth and putting it in their mouth, because that's a safety hazard and that increases the risk of choking. We want our kiddos to be able to feed themselves. So, and I mean, if you think about that, if someone were to feed you, just be placing food in your mouth, you might not be ready for the amount that they put in your mouth, or maybe you were just finishing swallowing. So obvious safety hazard there. We want our children to be able to pick the food up themselves and bring it to their mouth. Okay, and so the next important readiness sign that we're looking for is a sensory awareness and discrimination. So what I mean by this, in layman's terms, we want to make sure that our child has the ability to discriminate temperatures and taste. It's a little bit more difficult to know if your child is able to discriminate different flavors at 6 months because they're not talking to you. But more importantly, we want them, or again, equally as important, is their ability to distinguish hot from cold, right? Because if, God forbid, we gave something that was scalding hot on accident and they put it in their mouth, we want them to be able to feel that this is dangerous, it's not safe, and to spit it out. And same thing with something being very cold. We want to make sure that our child's sensation is intact to be able to safely manage foods as they grow older. And flavors, that's where that same concept would come in handy, is if something is rancid or it's gone bad, we can taste that immediately and we would spit that out, and we want the same for our children. So the final readiness sign that we're going to be looking for before you gear up to transition your child to solid foods is, do they have adequate postural control? And what I mean by this is, are they able to sit independently? Are they sitting up on their own or very close to it? And when I say very close to it, I mean maybe you're doing 20% of the work or less. You've got your hand on their side just to keep them from sort of wobbling all the way over, or maybe your hand is on their back because they tend to lean back after a few seconds of sitting up on their own. And this is really important because we want to make sure that our child is able to sit upright for the most part on their own for mealtime, because if they fatigue while they're sitting in the high chair, that is another safety risk, and we are increasing the risk of them potentially choking. So we want to make sure that they're strong enough and they have the endurance to sit upright for the duration of a meal. And of course, they're going to get a little bit of support from their high chair or whatever seating arrangement they're in, but we don't want them relying on that, because again, if they're tired and they're also trying to eat, it's a really bad combination. And along with that adequate postural control is their ability to have good head and neck control. So are they holding their head upright for 15 to 30 minutes? This is very important because if your child is sort of here or they get tired after 10 minutes and they're here, that's obviously a choking hazard. They're not going to get the support through their neck and their head as they are through their trunk, so their chest and their back and their hips in the high chair, right? Like when we sit to eat, this is all us, we're not leaning back, our head's not here. We've got to keep our own head upright. So we need them to be able to hold their head upright for the duration of a meal or a snack, and that's usually 15 to 30 minutes. So those are the readiness signs I want you all to look for before beginning solid foods. And again, if you guys love this information and you find it helpful, first of all, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to go deeper, down below in the description box is all the information to my Foundations for Feeding course. I would love to see you guys inside of there. I would love to guide you and support you on the path to your child being an independent and healthy eater. So I'll check to see if we've got anyone in here. And I think I'm solo here on lunchtime. So I'll catch you guys on the replay. Leave your questions and your comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.